The front door closes. Footsteps fade down the hallway. A few seconds later, the house falls completely quiet. For many people, this is the moment they imagine their cat simply stretching out somewhere and sleeping the day away. Cats have a reputation for being calm, independent animals that seem mostly unaffected when their owners leave. They rarely wait at the door the way dogs do, and they almost never explode with excitement when someone returns home. Because of that, a lot of people assume something very simple: the cat probably doesn't care very much. But modern behavioral science tells a different story. In fact, research from Oregon State University revealed something surprisingly powerful about the way cats relate to people. In 2019, a study led by researcher Kristen Vitale found that about 64% of cats show what scientists call a secure attachment to their owners. That pattern looks remarkably similar to the attachment seen in dogs and even in human infants. In other words, cats do form meaningful emotional bonds with the people they live with. They simply express those bonds in much quieter ways. So even when the house becomes silent, your cat is still responding to your absence. Their routine shifts in small ways. Their attention moves to different parts of the environment, and their behavior adjusts to a version of their territory where the most familiar presence has suddenly disappeared. Cats have long been described as independent animals, and compared with many other pets, they do have an impressive ability to entertain themselves and tolerate time alone. Because their signals of attachment are subtle, this independence often leads people to believe cats are emotionally distant. But independence is not the same as emotional detachment. Studies in feline behavioral medicine have shown that cats are extremely sensitive to changes in environmental patterns. When an owner leaves, several things change at once. The rhythm of footsteps disappears, doors stop opening and closing, voices fade from the background. For a cat, all of these changes alter the structure of the territory they live in. One of the first ways cats respond is by becoming more aware of their environment. Without the usual background activity created by human movement, the house suddenly feels quieter and less predictable. Small sounds that were once ignored now stand out clearly. Behavioral researchers studying feline territorial monitoring have observed that cats often react by paying closer attention to their surroundings. They may sit near a window watching outdoor movement. They might listen carefully to distant sounds from outside the home. Some position themselves near doorways or hallways where they can monitor movement through the house. From a human perspective, this might look like simple curiosity or boredom, but in feline psychology, it reflects a natural instinct. When environmental activity suddenly drops, cats shift into a quiet monitoring mode to keep track of their territory. Cats also continue to follow human routines even when the owner is gone. Over time, cats build internal maps of household patterns. Research on feline circadian rhythms suggests that many cats gradually synchronize parts of their daily activity with the routines of the humans they live with. They learn when lights usually go off at night. They remember when meals typically happen, and they start to recognize when the front door usually opens again at the end of the day. Because of this internal clock, many cats become more alert during the time when their owner normally returns home. They may move into rooms that are used more often. Some sit near hallways or doors where people usually enter the house. To an outside observer, this can look like coincidence, but in reality, the cat is responding to a learned rhythm that still exists even while the human is temporarily absent. Scent also becomes an important emotional anchor when cats are alone. Cats rely heavily on scent to understand and interpret their territory. Every room in the house contains layers of familiar smells that help define what is safe and what belongs to the household. Among those scents, the smell of the owner carries special importance. Studies on feline scent communication show that familiar human scent can function as a stabilizing signal within a cat's territory. This helps explain why cats often choose to sleep in places that carry strong traces of their owner's scent. Beds, pillows, sofas, and clothing become especially attractive resting spots. From the cat's perspective, these scent markers help maintain a connection to their social group even when the person is not physically present. Although many cats remain calm when they are alone, some individuals experience subtle forms of separation-related stress. Veterinary behavioral research published in the journal PLOS I identified several behaviors that can appear when cats struggle with temporary isolation. These behaviors may include increased vocalization when the owner returns home, excessive grooming, pacing near doors or windows, or unusual clinginess after the owner comes back. Unlike dogs, which often show separation anxiety in very obvious ways, cats tend to express these responses much more quietly. Because of that, many owners interpret them as random habits rather than emotional reactions to temporary isolation. Another behavior that people rarely notice appears in how cats interact with their territory while humans are gone. When people are present, the house becomes a shared environment where human movement influences how space is used. But once the owner leaves, the entire territory effectively belongs to the cat. Many cats take this opportunity to explore the environment more freely. They may climb onto surfaces they usually ignore when people are around. They might investigate rooms more thoroughly, or move through the house in quiet patrol-like routes. Ethologists who study feline territorial behavior describe this as a process of territorial reaffirmation. By walking through familiar spaces and re-examining their environment, the cat strengthens its internal map of the territory and maintains a sense of control over its surroundings. When we look at these behaviors together, a deeper pattern begins to appear. For humans, leaving the house may feel like a small everyday event, but for a cat, it represents a shift in the structure of the territory. Movement patterns disappear, sound levels drop dramatically, familiar scents become more noticeable, and the social presence that normally anchors the environment temporarily disappears. Cats respond to this shift not with dramatic emotion, but with quiet adaptation. Because of this, the way we leave the house can quietly influence how comfortable our cat feels while we are gone. Many owners accidentally create small problems without realizing it. For example, leaving interactive string toys or feather wands out on the floor can be dangerous. Without supervision, a cat may chew or swallow the string, which can lead to serious internal injuries. Electrical cords left exposed can also become targets for curious chewing, especially in younger cats. Another common mistake is leaving the house in an overly emotional way. Long, dramatic goodbyes may seem affectionate from a human perspective, but they can actually increase a cat's sense of uncertainty. Cats rely heavily on routine, and sudden emotional changes in voice tone or behavior can disrupt the calm rhythm they expect in their environment. Food and water are another important detail. Some owners leave large portions of food out thinking it will last the entire day, but this can cause food to become stale or attract insects. Fresh water is especially important. Cats naturally prefer clean, moving, or frequently refreshed water sources, so making sure their water bowl is full and clean before leaving helps maintain their sense of stability. Environmental safety also matters. Windows should be secure, toxic houseplants should be out of reach, and small objects that could be swallowed should not be left scattered around. When a cat has the house to themselves, their curiosity often increases, which means they may explore places or objects they normally ignore when people are present. This quiet preparation helps maintain the stability of the territory while you are away. Cats do not need constant attention to feel secure, but they do rely on a predictable environment. This quiet adjustment is one of the most fascinating parts of feline psychology. Cats rarely express their emotional responses loudly. Instead, their reactions appear through subtle changes in attention, movement, and routine. They observe the environment more carefully. They rely on scent for stability. They continue to follow the learned patterns of human activity, and in their own quiet way, they maintain control of the territory until the familiar rhythm of the household returns. Then, eventually, the front door opens again. Footsteps return to the hallway. The sounds and scents that define the home begin to fill the space once more. The environment becomes predictable again. To a human, coming home might simply feel like the end of a normal day. But to your cat, it means something much deeper. The territory has returned to its natural balance, and the most familiar presence in their world is finally back where it belongs.